strange to say, I wasn't really interested in the outdoors early on. The reason I went camping was that was all I could afford to do if I went for a holiday. At the time that I got interested in making tents, most of the tents were family tents, and in fact most of them were made in France because they led the world in le camping, as they called it. And it was that we started to do. We first made our first tents were frame tents, and we traded for several years as Mackelwraith of Govan, but that wasn't a very good name because nobody could spell Mackelwraith, and they forgot how to send us checks, which was rather serious. And we decided that we would make an anagram of Govan and come up with Vango, and that's how Vango started. Entire staff of Vango was me. I had a little office underneath the stairs in our factory in Shettleston. It didn't even have a window, but in fact some people called it the Vango headquarters, other people called it the Vango cupboard. So I didn't have any high finance ideas. I hadn't even thought of the word marketing. I was just trying to design and make tents that people wanted to camp in.
We don't manufacture anymore. We've stopped manufacturing. It's just the repairs that we do, so it's changed dramatically.
But it was the same throughout in the manufacturing, wasn't it? Our team now is pretty much people we've worked with for
a good number of years.
Yeah, most of them is 20 plus years. Me and myself have been working together for 37 years. So we pretty much know everything about each other and our families. Well, just now it's a whole different thing. It's doing repairs, and it's still good because you are seeing now a whole different kind of tent to what we actually manufactured. These big family tents and whatnot. So, and also other items that come in like rucksacks and things like that. So there's a good variety.
The way that people manufacture, the way that our business has evolved, unfortunately we've had to move everything offshore as far as production's concerned. But to be able to see that happening and to manage that, something that the owners of the business have done really well to be able to keep the business going. It would have been very easy for it just to fold, but they managed to keep the production as long as they could in the UK whilst taking on the Far East production.
New tent designs, we can come up with starting off with a bit of paper. You can sketch a lot of stuff out. We can then come up to our showroom and build up sort of wireframes. We can play with how things work. Some of them don't work, but if we do get something good, we can then try and photograph it, draw it, and that gets communicated out to sample technicians. We do a lot of end user research in different ways. We've got a focus group. For certain products we need specific specialist advice, and we go to alpine guides, sponsored athletes who can take a product and really test it to its limits.
Outdoor activities can be unpredictable enough without the added worry of a tent that can't cope. When the wind's howling and the rain's thrashing down, it's reassurance you need, not second thoughts.
The Force 10 was an immediate success. because it was exactly what the market was requiring at that time. Chris Bonington, who's possibly the most famous climber, he insisted on having Force 10s for his exhibition. One of the key people, as far as we were concerned, was Doug Scott. He not only went to the Himalayas 22 times, but he went 22 times with Force 10 tents.
The market, I would suggest, has changed enormously for the last 10 years. The growth of the youth market and the development work that GV have done, and also the Scout Association have done. We also worked very closely with Duke of Edinburgh, and we're now a major partner with Duke of Edinburgh on specific lightweight 3-person tents for that type of market. As we developed through those years, we also started working on Airbeam. Airbeam has been possibly our biggest growth market in the past 15-20 years. The other growth, of course, is in family camping, and through the use and through the development of Airbeam technology, we've enabled campers who used to camp, who got fed up with it, too heavy, too wet. They can now invest in an Airbeam product, and it will do all they used to do, the good bits they used to remember from years ago, but now in a modern environment. It's something that the group and Vango are at the forefront of.
I think the brand has been great in changing its profile. It's not actually changed its brand values very much, but what it's done in the last 25 years, and hopefully will always continue to do that, is change with consumer demands and what it's seen by the consumer. But it still hasn't lost those brand values of being trustworthy, reliable. Bomb-proof is a word that has always been used. I worked for a multinational, then I worked in a small fastener business, and then came to Vango.
Yep.
The multinational, you don't have the fun that we have in business.
Yep.
It's very corporate, and people would say we're quite corporate now, but we're not.
No.
So the fun side of the business is a big element of, I think, of the outdoor industry.
The things I like working for Vango was probably, it's a bit of a cliche, but the people. I've made a lot of good friends over the years, but part of it as well as that is the success of the business. We're at a situation now where we're as big as we've ever been. If you compare ourselves to some of our competitors and what's happened to them, then you have to think that overall we are our number one, if not very close, which I take a bit of pride in.
The Odyssey range, lightweight, compact, innovative and competitively priced, but not at the expense of performance. A real tribute to the Vango reputation.
Our marketing mix has evolved over the years. We still engage in traditional methods of marketing, things like print media. We work closely with the industry's leading titles. More so over the last few years, a lot of that spend has moved into online, so we work closely with the same titles a lot of the time in their online platforms. We work with dedicated online platforms, bloggers. We do a lot more through social media. That creates a lot of content, both imagery and video, for our retailers, for websites, again trying to give as much content as possible.
Currently I'm the Product and Development Director at AMG Group. I started with Vango back in June 1994 as a product manager for backpacks and for footwear. I think the core to it is that we're offering functional, value for money products that really do perform. And that was inherent in the brand when I started, and it's something that we've all held pretty much to our hearts all the way through. You don't see that very often in the outdoor market, of somebody coming up with something that has a real wow appeal, because so much of it is evolution. And so things like Airbeam, some of the back systems we've done on rucksacks, some of the new constructions we've done in sleeping bags have had that wow appeal, and people have gone, these boys know what they're doing. And that overcomes those customer needs, but in a way that is completely new. Also, the brand is becoming known by a much wider audience.
Yeah.
You know, if you go back 20 years, then it was a techie brand, and it's evolved now into being a technical brand, a family brand, a camping and caravanning
as well,
type brand, driveaways and all that type of thing.
One thing we do on the e-commerce side, which is quite unique to us in the industry, we use Shopatron. So that means that when consumers come to buy off us, we put those sales available for retailers to fulfill. So we support our retail network through Shopatron, and it also means consumers get a wide choice of our products online.
We are extremely successful in many aspects across the Vango brand. I think it'd be unfair to say there's one particular thing, but you know, we're constantly innovating. We demand excellence in the products that we produce, and you know, we always strive to have the best quality. And all of those things together across a myriad of products that we offer to the market, I think that results in the fact that the Vango brand is the greatest strength we have.
Consumers love our brand. They really trust in what we do. Even today, we go to shows and people come over and ask us, Force 10, is that the same brand that made the orange cotton tent? And yes, it is. So that product really speaks to our heritage. People use us as teenagers as part of their DV expeditions or with the Scouts. Then they go off into their professional lives, and 20, 30 years later decide that they want to go camping with their new families, and Vango is there. We work across those categories.
I would like to think they still think those things. I think perhaps the bit that we are getting better at, that we still have to work hard at, is innovation. That people will come to recognise us as being at the cutting edge of what's new and what's sexy in camping.
I think everything changes all the time, so you can't stand still. Got to move on, and maybe in another 50 years they'll still be saying, "Oh, there's that Force 10 classic."